Margaret was already sitting in my chair before they carried my body out of the house. That sentence sounds cruel until you know the truth. I wasn't dead when I saw it happen. I was simply invisible for the first time in 78 years. If you stay with me, I'll tell you why watching another woman sit in my favorite armchair became the greatest lesson of my life. I've spent 54 Christmases around the same dining table, baked more than 12,000 loaves of bread, and never once believed that love could quietly become a prison built with good intentions. The first crack appeared on an ordinary Tuesday. Outside, the maple tree I'd planted when my youngest daughter was born had begun dropping yellow leaves onto the porch. Inside, I stood in the kitchen making chicken soup, just as I had every Tuesday since 1986. My son called. "Mom, could you watch Emma after school?" Before I answered, my daughter called on the other line. "Mom, can you make that casserole Dad loved? Tom's parents are visiting." Then my neighbor knocked. "Margaret, could you sign for my package? I'll be late." By 4 o'clock, I had agreed to 7 favors without thinking. I looked down at my untouched cup of tea. It had gone cold again. That evening, my granddaughter Emma asked me something no adult ever had. "Grandma, what do you like to do?" I laughed. "What do you mean?" "When you're not helping people." I opened my mouth. Nothing came out. Because I couldn't remember. For 41 years after my husband died, I had become everyone's emergency contact, babysitter, holiday planner, family historian, unpaid cook, nurse, driver, counselor, and backup plan. People praised me constantly. "I don't know what we'd do without Mom. Grandma always fixes everything. You're amazing." I treasured every word. I never noticed those compliments were quietly replacing another sentence. "How are you?" No one asked anymore. Not because they didn't care. Because I had trained everyone to believe I never needed anything. The years passed exactly like that. At 63, I canceled a vacation because my daughter needed help moving. At 68, I postponed knee surgery to care for my son's children while he traveled for work. At 71, I spent Christmas cooking for 16 people. They hugged me, praised the food, laughed until midnight. Then left every dirty dish in the sink because Grandma likes doing the kitchen. I stayed awake until 2 in the morning washing plates. Not one person noticed. The strange part wasn't that they ignored me. It was that I had taught them to. Every time someone offered to help, I smiled. "I've got it." Every birthday, I insisted on cooking my own cake. Every family gathering, I refused to sit until everyone else had eaten. I believed sacrifice looked beautiful. From the outside, it did. Inside, I had become exhausted. One winter morning, I slipped on the icy front steps while carrying groceries. I heard something snap before I felt the pain. The hospital smelled of bleach and overcooked vegetables. A fractured hip. 6 weeks without walking. I remember apologizing to the nurse. "I'm sorry for causing trouble." She stared at me. "Honey," she said softly, "you've apologized 3 times in 10 minutes. My family rushed to the hospital. They cried. They hugged me. They promised to take care of everything. For the first time in decades. I believed them. The first week at home, casseroles arrived. Flowers covered the windowsill. My granddaughter vacuumed. My son learned to cook scrambled eggs. My daughter handled the bills. It wasn't perfect. But it worked. By the 3rd week, something unexpected happened. The world continued turning without me. Birthdays were celebrated. Laundry was folded. Dinner was made. The grandchildren got to school. Nobody starved. Nobody fell apart. One afternoon, I sat in my living room watching my daughter laugh while burning a batch of cookies. The smoke alarm shrieked. Everyone laughed harder. I almost stood to help. Then my hip reminded me I couldn't. Instead, I watched. And something inside me broke. Not because they were struggling. Because they were learning. The cookies were terrible. The memory became priceless. A month later came the moment I'll never forget. My granddaughter, 16 years old by then, carried 2 mugs of tea into the living room. She placed one beside me. "Grandma," she said, "don't get up." She disappeared into the kitchen. When she returned, she was carrying a blanket. Not perfectly folded. Just like I used to. She tucked it around my legs. Then she sat quietly beside me. After several minutes, she whispered, "I finally understand something." "What?" "You always looked happiest when everyone needed you." I smiled. "I thought so too." She looked at me carefully. "But, were you?" The room became very still. The clock above the fireplace ticked louder than I'd ever heard. Outside, snow slid silently from the roof. Finally, I answered. "No." Just one word. It weighed more than every meal I'd ever cooked. After I recovered, everyone expected life to return to normal. It didn't. The first Sunday dinner afterward, I placed uncooked potatoes on the counter. My daughter frowned. "Aren't you peeling them?" "No." My son looked confused. "So, who's making dinner?" I smiled. "All of us." The kitchen became wonderfully chaotic. Someone burned onions. Someone forgot the gravy. My grandson dropped an entire bowl of peas. We laughed until our stomachs hurt. Dinner tasted nothing like mine. It tasted like family. That's when I understood something I wish I'd learned 40 years earlier. Being needed isn't the same as being loved. Need disappears the moment someone else learns the job. Love stays even after the work is gone. For decades, I confused those two things. I measured my worth by how tired I was. I counted exhaustion as proof of devotion. It wasn't. It was fear. Fear that if I stopped doing everything, people might stop coming. Instead, the opposite happened. When I finally sat down, they pulled up chairs beside me. Today I'm 83. The armchair where I spent so many evenings is still by the window. Sometimes my daughter sits in it. Sometimes my granddaughter does. Years ago, that would have broken my heart. Now it makes me smile. Because chairs are meant to be shared. Just like love. If you're always the one carrying everyone else's burdens, ask yourself one quiet question tonight. If I stopped doing everything tomorrow, would they miss my work? Or would they miss me? The answer may change your life. It certainly changed mine. Now, when the tea grows cold, I don't apologize. I simply pour another cup. And this time, we drink it together.